Minister, I want to ask you how you propose to increase the tillage area as outlined as a key desire in the programme for government, and when will a new tillage incentive scheme be introduced to support tillage growers, and if you will make a statement on the matter.
Minister.
I would thank very much the Deputy for raising this important point. The tillage sector is an integral part of Irish farming and makes a really significant contribution to overall agricultural output. This government recognises the importance of the sector and wants to grow the area under tillage crops in the years ahead. The report of the Food Vision Tillage Group, which was set up and set out a roadmap for the growth and development of the sector, identifies opportunities to grow the sector and to further improve its environmental footprint. My department continues to engage with stakeholders to progress the actions in the report through collaboration with all stakeholders. My department has provided significant support to tillage farmers in recent years. The budget for protein aid has increased €10 million annually since 2024. Applications for over 66,000 hectares of cereal and oilseed rape straw were submitted for chopping and incorporating in 2025 under the Strong Cooperation measure. I have committed to paying all farmers who have applied under this scheme. I have made this decision early to give certainty to farmers while also giving them an economic boost. Just in financial terms, Deputy, there was €10 million budgeted for Strong Cooperation a year each year as part of the CSP. The applications this year are over 15 million, so it's not an insignificant decision for me to make in regard to managing my budget, but I wanted to do it to be able to provide that certainty and support, and I'm a major supporter of Strong Cooperation. I believe it does great work and it provides a number of great benefits to our farmers. In February this year, I announced the €32.4 million of payments under the Tillage and Horticulture Support Scheme, which was a government response to the difficult position tillage and horticulture farmers found themselves in due to exceptionally poor weather and continued high input costs last spring. This exceeds the €30 million provided for in last year's budget. So again, I had to try and find extra money within my budget and to make decisions to prioritise that because I was anxious that we would be able to make the payment on every hectare of eligible ground, and that extra €2.5 million was as part of that.
Thank you, Minister. I acknowledge your words, but as you know, and I don't need to tell you, tillage is a vital part of our food security, and given what is happening globally and the uncertainty that prevails, a reliable and viable tillage sector is required to ensure a food supply. It's also important to speak to the fact that tillage is effectively a carbon neutral, if not indeed better, area of agriculture, and as such the tillage sector can play an important role, if supported fully, in the agri-sector reducing its carbon footprint. In June 2023, the then Minister for Agriculture committed to achieving the target of increasing the tillage area to 400,000 hectares by 2030. However, figures from the industry at that time suggested that the tillage area was set to decline. In 2012, there was 355,000 hectares of land in the country under tillage, yet in 2024 that has dropped to 334,000 hectares. Minister, tillage plays a vital role in the agricultural economy and indeed in the area of food sustainability in the country. It's vital that we increase the tillage area as a matter of urgency, because we cannot depend, as we've already seen, we cannot depend on the global uncertainty that prevails at this point in time.
Minister.
Look, I concur and I agree with you, Deputy, that we do want to see a growth in the tillage sector, and I'm very heartened after 2 really hard years that our area under arable and tillage this year is a slight increase on last year. So it is stabilised in the face of 2 horrendous years. This year is difficult. Future prices for the sector are still very challenging, and is that one sector of agriculture that hasn't seen a big uplift in commodity prices. But at the same time, the crops are looking good. We've had a good year in terms of weather, particularly the winter crops looking very clean and full, and be very hopeful for a good harvest. Obviously, spring crops are always somewhat more variable, but we're seeing a lot more winter crops because of the weather last year haven't been sowed in the back end. So from that perspective, look, we keep a very close eye on it. But just to say, the tillage sector is supported under other schemes, including the Tillage Capital Investment Scheme, acres, there's many tillage farmers in that, glad to be in that this time. The Organic Farming Scheme and the Water Quality EIP is open to them as well. So there's a range of different measures there for supporting our tillage sector.
Minister, yes, we may indeed have a better year this year, but the tillage sector has suffered crippling losses over the past number of years. And also we've seen fertiliser prices increase by up to 300% since the war in Ukraine. We've seen tillage farm income plummet. In 2022, the tillage farm income, average farm income, was €76,600. In 2024, that had plummeted to 30,000. Tillage farmers can't take any more of these losses. They need assistance and they need assurance. Counties like my own of Wexford are taking a huge hit. The IFA tells us that the economic viability of the sector is in a very precarious position for 2025, and the sector is extremely vulnerable in the coming years. As of 2025, forward barley prices for harvest in 2025 are €185 a tonne. This is well below the cost of production for many farmers. It's unsustainable and it has to be supported. If we're to see people remain in the sector and if we're to see the incomes rise, it's vital that the sector receives absolute commitment and support coming from you directly, Minister. It's crucial, and I acknowledge that you, in your words today, that you are supportive of this sector, but it's crucial that a new tillage incentive scheme be introduced to support tillage growers, and that we begin to be more self-sufficient when it comes to the supply of our own native grain.
Minister.
Yeah, look, at the end of the day, continue to have those supports in place. Strong cooperation, the protein aid, 10 million. Obviously the intervention and the allocation of money earlier this year, which while was for hardship of last year and recognised that, it came out of this year's budget, my budget, that I have to manage this year for tillage and for everywhere else. So want to continue to work with the sector, absolutely recognise the challenge there is. The latest Teagasc income figures at 38,000. When you consider the output costs for long-term leasing of land and the price the farmers are paying in that space, if they're farming more than their own land, the input costs in terms of machinery and the depreciation and the very high cost there of replacing that machinery, and then all of the other input costs, it is a very the risk reward in terms of that investment is very challenging in that space at the minute, and that's why I will continue to work with the tillage sector and provide targeted support given the importance of the sector within the wider agriculture industry, and to deliver on the commitment of the programme for government to invest significantly in the tillage sector over the next 5 years.